Hello class, welcome to lesson 18, finding rate by multiplying and dividing. Now last lesson we talked about how to turn rates into ratios by putting them on a number line or using different diagrams, and we started talking about how to use multiplication and division, but the entire lesson today will be about that. Take a second now, I'll zoom in on each half of the page for those of you who need to copy. Also, while we're down here, I wanted to remind you not to forget about the Your Work section. That is going to be what you do at home and we go over in class down here. And we'll get to that. Hopefully, by the end of this, you'll know how to complete that task. So, start at the top. So the question we should be able to answer by the end of this is, how can I find an associated rate when given a base rate and a new value? What that means is when you get your original rate, whatever it's talking about, for example, the one down below is going to be 45 seconds per 5 handstands. How can you scale that rate up and down when we're looking for a specific scaled up version or a specific scaled down version? And we'll get to that in just a moment. In order to do that, it's pretty simple. We multiply the base rate by whatever the value is, or you could also divide the base rate by whatever the value is. Let's take a look at our example down here as to how to put this into practice, and then I'll slide over and use a little bit more of blank space to put some meaning to these words of base rate and new value and things like that. So the example is, Stella can hold herself upside down for 45 seconds per handstand. If she does 5 handstands, how long will she be upside down? So our base rate in this scenario, let's scoot down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and circle it for us. Our base rate is 45 seconds per handstand. And if you're looking at that in math terms, that's going to be 45 over 1, which you see here. Okay? So we've done that first step, figuring out what that rate is. Our base rate. This is our base because it's what we start with. Then we come down here and see the question, if she does 5 handstands, how long will she be upside down? So that is our new value. That's what we're trying to figure out. So we combine our base with our value. We're going to multiply it, and you'll see how to do that in just a second. Let me get rid of all this stuff because I bet that's pretty annoying. Okay. So we've got 45 seconds per 1 handstand. And it's very important that we set it up correctly with the 45 on top, the 1 on the bottom, and very, 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 very importantly, these labels. We're talking 45 seconds to 1 handstand. If we don't have those labels, we have no idea what we're talking about. So, gotta have the labels. Then, here you see our new value that we're shooting for. How many seconds per 5 handstands? You just multiply it straight across. Now, it says here the answer is 225 seconds, which is correct. But I want to show you how you're going to be doing it on your papers, which we learned how to do on Friday, but we're going to try it one more time. Okay, so let's say we've got 45 seconds over 1 handstand, HS for handstand, seconds. Okay, so you've set up your base rate. Then what you're going to do is you're going to say, come over here to the right, figure out what your new value is. Our new value was the 5 handstands. Okay, so we're going to take 5 handstands and we're going to put 5 handstands on the bottom of this line. And the reason we're putting it on the bottom as opposed to the top is because handstands is on the bottom. We wouldn't put handstands on top if it's on the bottom over here. So we have to keep it in its same lane. So we'll put our 5 handstands here. And the point is, we're trying to figure out, how do I get from 1 to 5? If it's bigger, then we multiply. So 1 times what equals 5? That's what we're figuring out. Hopefully that's not too hard for us. We know that 1 times 5 equals 5. So we'll get rid of our question mark here. Oops, and then we will replace it with a 5. So if there's a 5 on the bottom, we know that we can only multiply by a value of 1. So here's my 1. So we have to put a 5 on the top, right? They have to match. Bottom has to match the top. So we're doing 45 times 5 equals 225 seconds. That's what we got. And if, for instance, some of you might be catching on and saying, well, Mr. Fields, what if the new value is smaller than the base rate? Well, just you wait, because we are going to go over that. It's actually pretty much exactly the same, except you don't multiply, you divide. So let's say, talking about this same girl, Stella, and her handstands, let's say Stella was upside down for 42 seconds and did 6 handstands. Then let's say we're trying to figure out how long will she be upside down upside down in 3 handstands. So we got to first find our base rate. Our base rate is 42 seconds and 6 handstands. So 42 over 6. Then we're looking for the value that we're shooting for, which is 3 handstands. So let's give ourselves some room here. We've got 42 seconds, got to label it, over 6 handstands, got to label it. And then, so that's our base value and our base rate. And then the new value we're shooting for, if you remember, is going to be circled in blue, the 3 handstands. So since it's handstands, we know it's got to be on the bottom because it's got to match. So we've got 3 handstands. Now, we look at this rate, or we look at this denominator 6, this denominator 3. Since 3 is smaller, we know we have to divide, scale it down. So we divide. Our question is 6 divided by what equals 3? I think we probably can get that in our head. The answer is 2. So we've got divided by 2 equals 3. And since the denominator is 2, the numerator has to be 2. Let's go ahead and divide 42 by 2. 42 divided by 2, it goes in twice, evenly. Bring down our 2, it goes in once evenly. So 21 seconds in 3 handstands. There's the answer to our question. Now let's come all the way back to our notes. And I will give you the Your Work section. Please have the answer to this ready by the beginning of class. We will be going over it right away.